Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Monday, June 15th. Would you look at that? Another show. How about that, friends? Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Grush came out, talked about seeing pictures of UFOs and a bunch of other stuff, or crash retrievals for that matter. We've got AVI everywhere. It's exploding. We're going to be covering it, my friends. It's a buckle up, turbulence inbound, my friends. On that note, before we get into this today, let's go ahead and welcome in the audience. Yes, for those who are watching this and rewind, this is a live show. So for the live participants out there, I want to welcome AM Gutru. Good to see you, along with Amiga Rules. We got April in the chat, along with Aussie. Banana Booey's out there, along with Chan310. Cosmo Fangs out there. Good to see you, Cosmo. We got Christopher Smith. Craig Smith is out there. Somebody else. Eliza Teal, along with Elvis Roten. Fireflies in the chat, along with Jay from the Galactic Family Podcast. Good to see you, Jay. Geraldine Durazio's out there, along with Jay Cat Meow. Jericho and Joey Stoner. Good to see you, my friends. Joe Has Gas is in the chat, along with Joey Spades, John Smith, Justin Case, and Kelly Bro with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. Light Melinda is out there. Where's Dark Melinda? We got Lori G, Mississippi, and most definitely not CIA. Mr. Joey B, Psychosomatic Addict, and Sane is also in the chat. All three of them. Rainbow's out there, along with Rainstorm Hunter. We got Randy Robert John, along with Rainbow and Scooby Dooby Gooby. Stargazer's in the chat, along with Stephen Forbes. Good to see you, my friend, and Steve Mateo. Tech Money's out there, along with Teresa Loves, our president, the Truth Master, and Wasteland Wonder. But wait, we got Who Farted 420 and Wolf Dog. How about that? Let's jump into the studio and say those three words. Mike. How the hell are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well. And I have a feeling we're going to have a lot to talk about on today's show, with different things going on.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. And we may have to put some of the stuff off until tomorrow, because some of the stuff is going to run long. Because I know we're going to watch it, and we're going to delay it, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to watch it some more. So I may have to put off the Chris Mellon stuff and get into deep with Avi Lube and Dr. Brian Keating. Can't wait to see what Brian and how he pulls that conversation along.
It'll be a good conversation.
Oh, you're telling me, friends. Absolutely. We're going to play his feed, not from YouTube, but what he put up on X. Maybe it's the same thing, but hopefully he won't. He'll thank us for promoting his on-screen links during the show. So to our audience out there, yes, disclosure. It's getting a bit bumpy, folks. Yeah, turbulence ahead. We've got Grush coming out from one side of this saying we're going to bring it out. I want to bring out the crash retrievals. I want to bring out the biologics. Well, we've got Avi Lube on the other side saying, well, if that kind of stuff is there about the aliens, maybe we shouldn't bring it out too much, because it could maybe upset people too much around the world. Which just means it's almost like, Mike, they're trying to already, snag disclosure and pull it back in a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to have to see where this goes in the end. Like you said, it's going to take time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweaty nerd, nothing against you. You just, when you talk, unmute yourself. Otherwise, sometimes you may just pop up, and we're just trying to keep everything together here. So, all right. So, oh God, they're using the term, the truth is out there again, Mike.
Oh, God. I got to tell you, I don't trust Avi Lube.
Who does? Well,
I don't know. Some people, the president.
We'll do it as a survey. You know why? Because he's on fucking TV too much. We got Dr. Oz, don't we? We got a bunch of them. Thank God we didn't get Oprah handling this. Alice, your hand is up.
Call me naive or stupid, but I like Avi Lube. I liked what he was doing with 3i Atlas with all the anomalies. I think that's probably why he's with the government right now.
Any of the sightings that go on this planet. Remember the Tic Tac? He said that was impossible because the craft would burst into a fireball going from 80,000 feet down 50 feet in 3/4 of a second. He used the same lame-ass excuse to go up against the National Academy of Sciences Ukraine when they were going and had multiple observation stations out there going ahead and, zooming in and figuring out the exact speed of the trajectory, where these things were coming from, where they're going to, how fast they were going. And he wanted to call out the same thing, saying, based on the speed you have there, it should have, been, a burst of light. It shouldn't have kept black. Clearly what you're seeing was munitions being fired from Russia. So it's like any chance he has to see anything. Dr. Beatrice Villero, right? The one who saw all the transients on the plates back from the 40s or 50s time frame, and we have all those plates from around the world. He said, no, it's what do you call it? He basically called it optical aberrations that would show up in it, even though it's all around the world. And there were scientists from NASA and everyone else going ahead and backing it. But Dr. Beatrice says, Avi Loeb is out there saying, no, that's not what you're seeing. But he does push his who's a mama or Muamu, whatever it's called, in his fucking eye atlas, and anything that's zooming around in the solar system, he's behind that. I mean, he went to go ahead and say, hey, look, there was an interstellar object that crashed into the ocean by Papua New Guinea. And look, we sent all the people out there. We spent millions of dollars and we brought back these little fucking tiny balls of coal slag. It wasn't an interstellar object that he found, but he tried to push it as such. So, this is a guy who's got an alternate agenda. He's been hand in hand in the past with the cover-up from ARO with Sean Kirkpatrick. This is the last guy I would ever trust. Mike, your thoughts on this one?
Oh, he's been up ARO and Kirkpatrick's ass for a long time. Too long. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. So I don't know why they decided to put him in a position like this. Yeah. I could have thought of a lot of other people that would have been better suited for that.
Yeah. And not for those who are on the left, Mike, he's a former member of Mossad. He was part of the Israeli intelligence, and he's probably still has ties back to it now, as well as ties to our own intelligence agencies. So if you don't like Israel, you don't like Mossad, you don't like what they're doing with our government, he's another one who's being embedded in this to cover this mess up. I hate to go ahead and have to say that, though, Mike, but it appeals to the other part of our audience.
Well, Tom, you know a lot more about it than I do, so I appreciate the education.
Oh, gosh, yes. Was that information kind of helpful?
Yeah, I think it was. I just wonder, how did he get to where he is then? I mean, not with the government. Before this, how did he get so much publicity? Was it always...
Well, he didn't discover Three Eye Atlas. Somebody else did. He didn't discover Oumuamua. Somebody else did. He's someone who's, at everyone's beck and call. Hey, we need someone to go ahead and talk about this. Would you like to come on our television show? And he would be there in a heartbeat. But apparently his usual going rate is $20,000, Mike, for a short appearance.
It seems to be.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Don't mean to go ahead and pound Avi Loeb into a pulp, but sometimes you just have to do it with a smile. On that note, let's get to put our sights on Washington, D.C., on Capitol Hill for that matter, along with David Grush, giving one hell of an interview here, folks. Not that one. Here we go. Let's jump to it. Here we go, folks.
Must have known there was a bunch of millennials at this table. All right, the Pentagon has just released a new batch of mysterious UAP files. Back in 2023, eyewitnesses near a classified security site described seeing a massive mother orb launching smaller orbs. And this new video from July 2025 shows two bright objects streaking through the sky, while another video shows an encounter from October 2024. The files also detail strange incidents in the western U.S. over 2 days in October 2023. And it's not just here. In Zimbabwe, the CIA investigated multiple mysterious instances. I'm all in on this. Joining us now for tonight's big close-up is UAP whistleblower and former Air Force intelligence officer David Grush. David, I'm bought into this. I watched The Age of Disclosure. I can't wait to watch Disclosure Day on Monday. I'm going to go see it by myself. I'm that into it, okay? I know that you are a whistleblower on this, and you're very passionate about this, and for good reason. My question is, these files that are being dropped, how confident are you that this administration is going to give us all the information, maybe that you're privy to or that you suspect? Do you think we're going to get the real answers on the UAP, UFO, alien activity?
Yeah, thanks, Tommy. I believe the presser we did earlier this week was helping drive that impetus so the administration does release those files. I know Mr. Stephen Miller is very serious about getting to the bottom of this for the president, and certainly the president was briefed on a lot of these matters his first term as well. So certainly seeing good signs. Very interesting files that were released the other day through the third drop. But it's really up to the administration and the cabinet to release a lot of the information I was exposed to. You know, they have the keys to the car, so to speak.
You know, David, Lisa Booth here. A lot of times these sightings end up having ordinary explanations. Tell us about some that you've seen that defy the ordinary.
Yeah, certainly some of them are ordinary, and some of them end up being, you know, foreign programs and our own blue programs. I've seen a lot of different interesting anomalous videos where we had, you know, orbs cooler than background temperature moving at 400 knots, you know, things like that. Certainly, like I said in my presser on Tuesday, I did get access to crash retrieval photos and everything, so I've seen the recovered vehicles and everything. So I would say that's probably the most stupendous thing, earth-shattering thing that, you know, changed my worldview when I got access to some of that years ago.
There you go, Mike. This is the first time he's put that out there, isn't it? That he's actually gone and seen the photographs of different crash retrieve vehicles?
Yeah, videos, photographs of crash retrievals and biologics, I understand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big reveal.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if he got DOPSA clearance to talk about that, but he didn't care. He just put it out there.
Well, maybe it's time they stop caring. And because even when he did have stuff that was cleared under DOPSA, the Air Force tried to come after him. They still wanted to prosecute him, under the Espionage Act. And I have a feeling that they try to do it in the Trump administration, the answer from Donald on that one will be sit and spin, my friends.
Yeah, well, it's not good that, you know, he was giving presidential daily briefings to the first Trump term. Yeah. And now they still have been going after him the whole time. So it's not a good look. It really isn't. Yeah. And the whistleblower protections are not in place. Let's remind the audience that he went through the chain of command and went right to the intelligence community inspector general. They investigated and they found that his claims were credible and urgent and passed it on to Congress to investigate.
Credible and urgent, yes.
Yes. So
yeah, maybe he will give us some drawings, or maybe he'll actually help us get the pictures released. Until then, at least he's opening up and speaking. Apparently, though, Mike, as I've been bringing it up several times, Lou's going to start talking a lot more than he has before. We know he has, let's say, 95% of the information he knows. He's been leaving breadcrumbs about, but he hasn't been able to talk about. But he seems even himself is like he's going to start opening and start bringing the truth out because it's time. Here we go. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's listen. They haven't been able to dispute any of the claims that he's put forward publicly, because if he was full of shit, they would have prosecuted him for lying under oath, which they never did, and they never disputed any of the things he put out there publicly.
But Mike,
doesn't look good for the government.
I've got to put on my newscaster voice. But Mike, why would they go ahead and prosecute him from lying in front of Congress when we've had so many Republicans and Democrats and others get in front of Congress and lie time and time again? So why would they use him as an example and go after him?
Because we know when they use national security, and we heard James Lukatsky saying this, they can lie right under oath and not be prosecuted.
Yep.
But David Grush is in the military, and they didn't prosecute him because he was telling the truth.
Yep. Right.
The inspector general proved that. Mm-hmm. He even had the former inspector general as his counsel, representing him at the hearing. So, yeah, They couldn't dispute any of his claims.
No,
from then to now.
the original Inspector General for the intelligence community is his lawyer. How about that?
Right.
Well,
Well,
looks like
that's
Kyle
what
in
I
the
said,
back has
yeah.
his hand up. Kyle, what say you? I guess not. Let's continue on. Here we go.
I do hope the administration, and I think they will, release that information in a further drop.
David, I gotta just jump in real quick there and give you a chance to talk about these crash site vehicles, because you got the hair on my wrist standing up. Just real quickly, I don't want to filibuster Joey here, but I'm very into this.
You got it.
Tell me about these crash sites that you've seen personally.
Yeah, a lot of them looked like what we saw. Some of the reporting dropped on Friday. There was a 1948 memo from the Chief of Naval Operations that discussed the flying disc pandemic that they were having, and they were enlisting help of the Air Force Intelligence Service. A lot of it was lenticular discs. Some was crescent moon shaped. I call it the flattened sunfish. There's a bunch of different morphologies that the U.S. government has recovered, from eggs to discs. To crescent moon, boomerang type vehicles, and I got a small smattering sample of that of ones that have landed or crashed on the surface of the Earth.
Landed or crashed on the surface of the Earth. Kyle, your hand is up again.
Does my screen name?
No, it says Edwin, but I know you're Kyle, so.
Ryan,
Ryan.
not Kyle. Ryan.
Ryan. I'm sorry, Ryan.
That's okay. That's okay. It's been a long day.
You're telling me.
I'm really enthused to see what David Grush has been saying, and the fact that the White House is engaged in contacting different people like Chris Mellon, like you're going to mention tomorrow. The fact that this is happening, I think, is a good sign. And I think later on in the video that you're going to play, he mentions that he believes the Trump administration will release this photography of crash sites in future releases. But I wanted to go back for a second to what Alice was saying. And Alice, if you're still there, I used to be like you. I used to really like AVI'S. I really did for a long time, until I heard the fact that he is actively debunking UFO sightings, calling the Tic Tac an illusion, calling those red orbs that floated by on the East Coast Chinese drones, and so on and so forth. He's real deceitful and tricky the way he speaks. But thankfully we have Dr. Gary Nolan and a few other people on his panel.
Right.
I just tell you, Alice, that I know what you're talking about. I used to like AVI'S, and I got tricked by it. Just look at all the cases that he debunks. I mean, Beatrice Villarreal, why is he out there trying to debunk her work?
Why did he do that? Why did he go after the National Academy of Sciences in Ukraine under the guidance coming from Sean Kirkpatrick? Why did he team up with Sean Kirkpatrick, right? And go ahead and go against the Tic Tac sightings. There's a bunch of different plays where he has just had his hands in the wrong cookie jar, and he is like all covered with, we put special spray on it so we can see this guy's guilty as ever.
Anyways, I'll get off here, but I understand where Alice is coming from. Okay. But once you hear some of this other stuff, it really starts to raise red flags. Who is this guy? Why is he on TV almost every week? So
well, he's
anyway,
a media personality.
He's
someone, when they say, hey, can you get on here and talk about this? He's the first one to be there. All right, so let's get into this. And Daryl, we have a counter going of 1 so far.
Yep, I've had my 1, but I'll have another 1.
No. Here we go.
David, I hate to bring us back down the ground here, but this is another kind of a tangent to this issue that I think that Americans maybe aren't as surprised by. But I want to ask you about recent allegations you've made accusing intel agencies of hiding billions of dollars in secret government spending from Congress. I mean, we know about Air America. CIA has done stuff like that, even Iran-Contra. Yep. So we've...
Okay, really quickly. Grush in his last statement said there are billions of dollars spent on these programs per annum, which means every single year.
I've seen this happen before. It's not, it's not aliens. It's what our government does. But tell us what you know about that.
Yeah, certainly. Earlier in my career, I was a counter-threat finance analyst. I actually worked in a special cell looking at arms trafficking and terrorist funding. So I have that background in counter-finance. And what I found was there were haircuts taken to classified black programs to fund this. There was also self-funding cutout companies, if you're familiar, and you mentioned Iran-Contra, and they had cutout companies self-funding some of the arms purchases for the Contras, but also criminal enterprises, unfortunately, is kind of the third way I saw laundering money. And I actually bumped into a very serious criminal enterprise, and all that information was actually reported to Department of Justice, and it led to some federal investigations and things I can't mention now, but the DOJ is actually handling that now because I bumped into a government-run criminal enterprise.
Holy fuck. That's huge, Daryl.
Holy fuck is right. Are you kidding me? He's talking about the cocaine and drug trafficking that the government used by
Cocaine, drugs,
Rennenkampff.
people, whatever it is that can go ahead and generate the fastest cash with the least amount of effort.
Yeah, and they've been doing it now for this. Holy shit.
They should sell Trump Ozempic.
Follow the money trail.
This is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. So criminal enterprise, they're using that to generate funds to revenue to fund reverse engineering efforts.
Yeah, that's right. Cash retrievals and reverse engineering.
That's right out of the playbook of the CIA.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Textbook.
Wow.
They wrote the fucking book on that, and they did that back in the 80s, and obviously they never stopped.
Maybe that's where Patrick the pilot's been lately,
testifying.
running drugs again for the CIA. You never know.
Oh God.
You have to go to LA.
Sorry, Patrick, to throw you under the bus on that one, but yeah. Wow.
Yeah, wow is right.
Siphoning money for this topic as well to pay for kind of the crash retrieval operations off books.
Okay. To pay for the crash retrieval operations off the books, they've put together a criminal enterprise. I wonder if these could be all the schmucks who are bringing the fentanyl into our country. It's not the Mexicans. It's not the Venezuelans.
It's the CIA.
It's the fucking CIA.
Well, right. And they're using contractor pilots, names will be redacted, that are helping this to move forward. And nobody is the wiser, at least not the public.
Yeah.
Wow, David Grush is going all scorched earth right now.
Yeah. If they haven't had their security system, well, I'm sure they've got it all locked down by now. But yeah, wow.
Well, they fucked with his security clearance. They still didn't give it back to him. So, yeah, he has nothing to lose at this point.
If you're in the Denver area and you need to buy a house, call on Grush.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's not going to be an off-the-books purchase, just saying.
No, it won't be. Wow, that's amazing.
Exactly.
So, David, I feel like to some of the skeptics out there, you just talked about an example dating back to the 1940s. Yeah. There's been evidence or allegations for decades. And the cynics or the skeptics might say, if there's truly some big conspiracy here to hide all this from us, that's now involving so many people to keep these secrets and keep the conspiracy going. Is that really plausible or realistic? How do you address that question that people might ask?
Yeah, at any given time, there's probably several thousand people briefed. And then remember, it's an onion model. So people at the top, you're looking at less than 200 that really know a lot of this information.
All right, there you go, Mike. We've got the title. There are less than 200 people in the federal government who have the complete picture.
Right. And that doesn't include the president, obviously, or elected officials. These are people who are unelected bureaucrats.
Well, he knows a lot more than he used to.
Yeah.
Because if we can get the stuff out from Mellon eventually, they want to bring out as much stuff as they can as fast as they can. That's why they're ramping up. Remember, it's in the top 3 priorities for the for the executive branch right now. Disclosure.
Yeah. So let's see if when Jay Stratton's book comes out by the end of the year, any of this is in there, or even Lou's book that's supposed to be coming out soon. Let's see if
how
any
much
of
of that
this is
stuff is
mentioned.
going to come out before those books come out, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Let's see if they touch base on any of this, because now we know.
Here we go.
As somebody who was originally ultra cleared, I was cleared to the entire black budget of the Department of Defense at one point. We do keep a lot of secrets as America, and there are...
Hold on a second. That's another one.
Yeah.
I was completely cleared to the black budget of the Department of Defense.
Which is how he found all this shit.
I always say you got to follow the money.
Yeah.
Got to follow the money. All this shit is connected.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's crazy. Damn.
Multi-decade, thousands of people briefed to certain sensitive activities we do around the world, and it's never leaked. And conversely, actually, this subject at some level has been leaking since almost its inception, because you had qualified observers seeing this phenomena, and then you did have information about crash retrievals and other things like, historical events that have been documented, like Virginia and Brazil in '96. Which the Brazilian defense minister recently in a statement confirmed that event actually happens. And if you watch an episode of American Alchemy with Jesse Michaels, you can actually watch the interview. So the government is very good at keeping secrets, but at the same time, this subject actually has been leaking at some level as well. But
another point towards Virginia, or Virginia, whatever it is down in Brazil, it's real. We got the non-human intelligence. We brought him back to the United States, probably the craft as well. So, that in addition to Kingman, two great points we need to look for and watch for details in future releases.
We have...
Well, you know what? He made a very good point just now. There's something else he shared with the public. They usually like to try to debunk what he's saying, or this subject in particular, by the trolls that are out there, and even some mainstream media personalities, and they say, oh, it's the federal government. It leaks like a sieve. They couldn't keep a secret like this for so long. Well, David Grush just said that there are plenty of illegal black budget programs that do remain completely secret. And until Colonel Oliver North came out during the Iran-Contra affair in the 80s, the public wasn't aware of any of the things that were going on at that time. So he's right.
Yeah.
The government can keep its secrets.
That they can. Daryl, what's up?
So I got disconnected there right when the CIA knew I was about to say something about your point about what did you say? What if it's what if it's the CIA that's bringing in all the drugs? Well, if you eliminate all the competition you have from all the other countries trying to send fentanyl in, you can only buy it from the CIA fentanyl shop. You make a lot more money.
Or cocaine, for that matter.
Or anything, anything illegal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
CIA fentanyl.
Techniques and procedures to keep the lid on a lot of sensitive things, believe it or not.
David, just real quickly, are you fearing for your life at all, or blowback? I know that you've been very outspoken, but after watching a lot of documentaries on this, there are a lot of whistleblowers that speak of the things that you're speaking of. Is there a price that you pay for that?
Yeah, there is a severe price. And certainly my wife and I witnessed a lot of things in our personal life to send me a message when I was, at NGA and still an intelligence officer. The administrative terrorism was immense. And like I mentioned in my presser, even the Air Force A2 or the Intelligence Directorate, tried to get an Espionage Act unauthorized disclosure investigation on me when I went public in 2023 and testified in front of the House Oversight Committee. And certainly recently, my good Air Force friend, Matthew, callsign Quake Sullivan, did pass away mysteriously before he was willing to come to the Hill to testify about his knowledge of these activities. And Quake was a Bronze Star recipient and an Air Force officer, intel officer friend of mine that I served with. And, he was one of my, sources in my investigation. And, he passed away mysteriously. And that is an ongoing FBI matter. So I won't characterize it. And I'm open to, different conclusions of what happened. But just, to your point, there's been a lot of anomalous things that have happened to people. I've had anomalous health incidents happen to people that were helping me in my investigation, Havana syndrome, if you will. And now that the government is finally admitting that issue is real, and that issue sort of parallels this issue, they deny, until all of a sudden, just kidding, we know it's real. So,
holy shit, that's another big one, Mike.
Yep.
People that he was there that were assisting with his investigations
including
and everything
Matthew
coming
Sullivan, he just said.
Yep. Have been subjected to Havana syndrome type symptoms.
Yeah, microwave directed energy weapons that the government has. Beautiful.
Yeah, apparently so. Caleb, your hand is up.
Yeah, so I actually looked up Quake and watched his obituary video, like his funeral home video, and there was a lot of intelligence officers there. Who's one of them was talking about Iran, and this was, when he passed away, which was, I think, 2024 or 2025. So they were talking a lot about Iran, and there's a big connection with Iran and, the intelligence agency, poly, cocaine, fentanyl, all that stuff with China. So,
oh wow, that's right, because the precursor ingredients that are required for a lot of these drugs all come out of China, don't they?
They do, and Iran and China are in bed with each other for the longest time. Yeah. No mystery there.
Exactly. Great insight. Let's continue on. Here we go.
I've been at fear for my life in the past.
Well, David, I really appreciate it. Like I said, I am totally bought into this, and I appreciate you coming forward and spending the time with us tonight. You're going to kick off a very intriguing discussion, so I hope you will stay on the line and watch. Thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
No, sounds good. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
And thank you for your service.
Yes. All right, Lisa, he dropped some information there at the tail end of that. I'm very happy asking that question that I thought was very intriguing. What do you make of all of this? Guy might be maybe the more the skeptic at the table, and I understand the skepticism because we've talked about aliens, and people think of aliens, they think of like a little green man with giant eyes. Maybe that's not what we're dealing with here, but maybe there's some kind of a non-human life form. Maybe it's in space, maybe it's under the ocean. It feels like there's a lot of smoke.
Or maybe it's just very classified military technology that the public's not aware of, and perhaps that's why there's such an aggressive effort to go after some of these whistleblowers. I don't know. I mean, a lot of times there ends up being ordinary explanations for some of this stuff. I really don't know what to believe. I feel like life on Earth is complicated enough that, I don't want to overcome. I don't want to think about aliens as well in all of this. So it's not an issue that piques my interest as much. But I appreciate disclosure, and I think transparency is a healthy thing. And if he's being personally attacked, maybe there's something to that.
It's not classified military.
Yeah, interesting from the pundits. I think we could probably skip this, Mike?
Oh, absolutely, because she's a real schmuck. She's ignoring the fact that he said that there are biologics that were in these crash retrievals. She wants to just go right past that.
You got to realize, though, not everybody thinks like us or people who were like in the audience and everything. There's a lot of different perspectives. There's a lot of different people. So sometimes hearing the schmucks, if you want to call it, go ahead and talk and get out there. It's like listening to the Christians, the different people who are afraid that they may realize that humanity was not created in the image of God, but it was created by a non-human intelligence to, create life on this planet. There's a lot of different things that are out there that could, offset the usual things. And if that's where it goes, well, that's where it goes.
She's still
but listen. Yeah, she is, because listen, if she's going to listen to him talk about the crimes that our government is committing, she should listen to everything that he's saying.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
Right. Now, I've got a clip. Okay, Professor Brian Keating went live earlier today on YouTube. And on X. I've got his X post up. We'll play from that because I think that's what he's trying to promote right now. So if you haven't gone and subscribed to Professor Brian Keating over on X, I highly suggest it. Interesting guy, Mike. You've been following him for a while.
I have, yeah. He's friends with the Weinstein brothers, Eric Weinstein and his brother.
Yes.
So they're very close, and they have very interesting conversations. I've listened to the interviews that he's done over the years. And he's in the science community, and he does really good interviews as well. And he's a very smart person. So this should be an interesting interview, I think.
Okay, so I can jump back and forth. I just need to make sure I had the same controls like I had on YouTube. I'm just looking at the time when everyone's going and looking at this thing. Let's get up here. Avi Loeb goes inside the White House with his new UAP Science Council, and there may be some things that coming from Avi that I don't think a lot of people are going to align with, but at least we're hearing it now and understand who's really behind that face of Avi Loeb and what we're getting into. Here we go.
Greens, foreign and domestic.
One.
With I think my most frequent guest. I'm not even sure. You could be my most is working here. Works. Oh, let's see. Welcome back to the Into the Impossible podcast.
It's great to join you, Brian. And as I said before, I really appreciate the dialogue with a natural intelligence rather than artificial intelligence.
That's right. You were talking about my brain and how you're glad to talk to a real brain instead of a silicon one. Well, we're gonna have a lot of fun today talking about all these exciting things that you've been up to, including a new White House position. Because I know you don't have enough jobs, Avi. You must have been lonely. So.
Well, this one is particularly important, and what I often tell my team members, we should keep our eyes on the orbs, not on the audience. Meaning, just like in basketball, I'm sure that the New York Knicks managed to win because they were focusing on the ball, not on the audience. And in the context of what I'm doing, there is a great opportunity now that President Trump came with the directive of declassifying videos, imagery, documents, as much as possible within the constraints of national security. There is an opportunity for us to look into the question of whether there are unusual objects near Earth that are not human-made. And, you might think that I'm approaching it from a perspective of an astrophysicist, but that's not true. Actually, I draw my lesson from going to the kitchen. If I find an ant, a single ant, on the kitchen cabinet, then I know that there should be thousands of them under the sink, and I'm very worried about it. So when we shut down the Chinese spy balloon, a few years ago, probably the Chinese intelligence agencies were laughing because we used a missile to shoot down one balloon, but they have many more that we are not aware of. And so the question, the down-to-earth assumption would be to say all these orbs and unusual objects being noticed by military personnel near strategic assets of the U.S. Are actually human-made. And as a result, if the intelligence agencies are telling us that they cannot figure those out, if the Pentagon cannot really identify the senders of these gadgets, and by the way, they could be launched from within the U.S. by people who cooperate with adversarial nations. It doesn't need to arrive from outside the border.
That's right.
All right. So there we go. First step out of the gate. He's already going ahead and blaming what we're seeing.
Government,
small
foreign
percentage.
adversaries.
There's a lot of sightings we get, right? But now he's basically blanking over everything, not that small 5% or whatever it is of things that we see that are truly anomalous, but he's trying to point that out that those too could potentially be an adversary.
They're all prosaic. It's all prosaic.
Wait till they bring out the stuff that's coming in orbit. That's maybe this is why Christopher Mellon is asking for all interactions with things from space. Because it'll take a lot of this nonsense speech that we're saying that it's ours, it's coming from this planet when we can see it coming in from somewhere else.
Yeah, it's obviously not a Chinese balloon at that point.
Exactly.
What a schmuck.
Yeah. Caleb, real quick. Let's continue on.
Jay has his hand up.
And so I think it's a serious matter.
All right. You said Jay also has his hand up. Jay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say it's all prosaic until a nuclear weapon turns on or off. Like, if I don't understand him. He's going to try to call everything prosaic, but
I know
he's going to get into my skin tonight.
I know we got a lot to get through here, so here we go. Thank you.
we're not dealing with necessarily exactly the same objects that we dealt with 50 years ago.
And so
right now, we have better sense.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you, because we have a limited amount of time, why go to a Harvard professor, as esteemed as you are, as renowned as you are? I mean, my main concern is a lot of things are coming out now. Disclosure Day just came out, popular movie. You just reviewed it, and I think it's. I'm going to direct everyone to the Medium article about it. But amidst that, there was also a disclosure, kind of revelation by your friend David Grush and your friend Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. And I want to get right to the point, because I've been frustrated with both of them. I have, as you know, I've wanted to talk to both of them, and I'm hoping you'll make an introduction, a shidduch, as we say. But Avi, why can't, I understand why David can't come forward. He could go to jail, and I don't want him to lose his livelihood or God forbid, hospital.
What the hell is a shidduch? Mike, accept the word between two Jewish people?
Yeah, I don't know. They sound like a couple of putzes to me, to be honest with you.
I just didn't know what it was.
It's a little bit like a kibitz, but, it's a kibitz that's been set up.
Well, just like a kerfuffle.
It can lead to that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very quickly.
There we go. Anyway, let me get back to my wine break.
Shalom get injured in any way. I have great respect for him. He's a great patriot. However, he's talking about things he's never seen with his own eyes. He's talking about things he's been told, and he's saying he can't come forward with what he's been told in more detail than sentient plasmoids and non-human biologics. Now, that may be true.
Look at the smile going on Avi when he's saying that. Just me. He's really gritting his teeth hard. Here we go. Watch the eyebrows.
He's talking about things he's never seen with his own eyes. He's talking about things he's been told. And he's saying he can't come forward with what he's been told in more detail than sentient plasmoids and non-human biologics. Now, that
he's like jumping at the bit. He wants to rip that apart.
Yeah, he does. He really is going hard, and he's ignoring the fact that David Grush just said publicly on that news interview that he saw high-resolution videos and photographs. Yeah. So he's actually seen it with his own two eyes, but now they're just going right over that like he never said it, and they're trying to put their own spin
now,
how
remember,
everything
Mike,
is prosaic.
Dogs are sentient. Octopus are sentient. Humans are sentient, but they're all different levels of sentience, right? There's an awareness that they have. So saying that there are sentient plasmoids, you know what this reminds me of? Jesus Christ, we've coming back to, I wish Andy was here on this one. Fucking fairies. The tail of the fairies flying around is like the orbs. Look at frickin' Cinderella, right? Merryweather and the other one, whatever they were, the pink and the blue orbs that transformed into little fairies. I mean, that's like goes back in legend, but if that's the case and that's what they're talking about, there's a history of it out there. Let's continue.
True. I don't know anything about disclosure in terms of the government crackdown on an individual. I don't want any harm to come to him. But Anna Luna, your friend who went to your observatory, who took a tour with you, who's on tour with you, she could do this in a heartbeat. And the fact that she's not releasing everything that she knows and she's hiding behind this suggests to me as just an independent skeptic, but someone who wants to believe that we're not alone and wants to know that we're not alone. I don't want to believe anything. I want to know. So Avi, why can't she come forward and just tell us everything that she knows? She's not going to be put in jail. Come on.
Well, Representative Luna actually argues that we're not, and she is not being privy to all the information that is relevant to this matter. And what they are shown under secrecy in skiff setups, which are basically Faraday cages where no electromagnetic information can penetrate.
Secure, compartmentalized information.
Secure.
And she's always saying, too, she's always blaming these things not on extraterrestrials, but interdimensionals.
Right. That's right.
I mean, what they saw is intriguing, but I don't think it's the actual things that Grush was talking about. So there is a gap between the access that Congress people have and what Grush is talking about. There is a gap. And the question is it real? The fundamental question is, does the government have materials or even videos of clearly.
Come on, he couldn't say the word biologics. He kept from saying it.
Yep.
Non-human made.
Yep, that's right.
Because it's all prosaic, according to him.
Right.
He's making up shit as he go.
I know, he's just having a hard time saying some of these words because he's never had to say them before.
Objects, and perhaps even biologics, okay, which is the claim that is being repeated by a lot of people. But for me, it's unclear whether the government has it, because obviously there should be a retrieval and reverse engineering program within government for things that are found in crash sites of battlefields or elsewhere where adversarial nations are using technologies that we want to be aware of. So we collect those materials. We see pilots there as well. So if you wanted to sort of not to make adversarial nations aware of what we know, you might label those documents with aliens. And then if someone looks at these documents, they might think, oh, the US has in its possession extraterrestrial artifacts. And it's not obvious to me that it's not just a labeling system, that someone gave it a name and then the rumor was spread by a bunch
He
of
talks
people.
about interdimensional beings. She talks about interdimensional beings with the confidence that your colleague Kamran Vafa talks about 11-dimensional strings. And I don't know what that means. And they always say they defy the laws of physics, but you and I are physicists, Avi. They don't defy things that we can understand. So when are we going to get the actual hands-on data?
This is some dang good conversations. Real questions for Avi. I love it. Edwin, your hand is up.
So Avi is saying that what David Grush has seen and Elizondo have seen is just Russian missiles that were crashed in a battlefield, or Russian helicopters or something. That's what Avi's trying to tell everybody.
No, not that. Mike, I don't think he said that, did he?
No,
well, he's trying to say that what David Grush could be talking about when he talks about crashed UFOs and crashed saucers, he's saying, well, they could possibly just be from a battlefield.
Well,
like
it seems
tanks or helicopters or something like that.
I don't think he said that, though.
Oh, okay. Well, he's trying to debunk it, folks.
Well, but he is throwing out some terms and he's squishing up his face when he's saying it, like he can't believe that he's actually saying this now. But if he gets the data and he sees it, no.
Well, if you go back and listen, he's trying to insinuate. If you go back and listen, he's trying to spin it so that it sounds like the crashed UAPs that are in our possession.
Right, but there's a lot more to this interview. So before we can
material from a battlefield, if you go back and listen to it. Anyway,
I got you, my friend. All right, let's just go ahead and move on this. We won't have time to go ahead and debate Avi at this point. I had just mute you for a time period. We got a long interview to get through here, so let's continue on. Here we go.
I think it's
so part of the reason that I'm very happy to help government is the first reason, of course, as a citizen of the US, I feel that my duty is to help them develop better sensors so that we can protect the nation. Okay, so it's really important not to have holes in our defense system, especially in strategic sites. And perhaps some of my insights as a physicist would help them. And I'm happy to do that. I would not feel that my time is wasted if we don't find anything other than human-made technologies. But at the same time, there is a possibility that there is something beyond that. And of course, even if it's one object out of a million, it will constitute the biggest discovery ever made in science. Now, the government is not a scientific organization, so they may be baffled, they may be uncertain, they may not know what they are dealing with. And in that context, I'm happy to help. If it exists, I have not seen it. So, I respond to evidence. I didn't have a lot of fun.
All right, so people want a poll. I'll create one. We'll do one at the start and one at the end. How about that? For Avi Loeb, here we go.
Fun in Steven Spielberg's movie because, the artistic freedom that scriptwriters in Hollywood take is not to my taste. They violate the laws of physics. What people have to understand is, the laws of physics apply everywhere in the universe as far as we know, and they apply to every atom. It's not as if there could be free will of atoms, that one atom will deviate from quantum mechanics, because then whoever finds that atom will get a Nobel Prize. So the point is the laws of physics are based on a huge amount of data that we collected so far. You can't just say, oh, I will violate it, the speed of light. I would violate, the speed of light being the limit of travel. I would introduce additional dimensions. If you can imagine those things, but unless you have evidence to support these ideas, they should not be regarded as real possibilities, because there are many more possibilities than the reality that we all share. So what we
really quick, Corporal Abraham, get the survey up. Your hand is up. What say you?
Yeah, bro. He said one key thing. As far as he knows, right? The laws of physics, as far as he knows, right? And so Lou Elizondo and multiple other people, David Grush included, has said that these craft that we're seeing are breaking those laws.
Right.
And Avi Lou is not privy to government information and whatever the hell's going on. So,
well, maybe when he gets the information,
he's not the right guy for this job.
Yeah. Well, a leader may not have all the experience, but the question is, can they bring in the team members they need to succeed?
Exactly. Somebody with an open mind that's going to accept new information. This dude, like he said, he can only work off of the evidence that he can see.
Well,
he doesn't have access to the evidence. Fucking half the presidents that have been in the country don't have access to half the evidence. So he's not being very objectional when it comes to this.
Maybe they'll get the evidence they need. You never know. There we go.
What we need is better evidence. You can't look at fuzzy images and say, oh, this is an object that lives in extra dimensions. That's not a good enough reason. You can imagine extra dimension mathematically, but it's not supported by data. So I respond to evidence like a detective. A detective goes to a crime scene, and there are various possibilities as to who is responsible for the outcome. And a good detective would not listen to what the people say, but would look for evidence that would.
What the fuck is he talking about? A good detective takes witness statements. What the fuck? He has no clue what he's talking.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Relax. We'll get there.
Would clench, the case, and that's exactly the work of a scientist. So in that sense, if we don't have good enough data, if the images are too fuzzy, if we don't know the distances to objects, what we need to do is not go philosophize about it.
And that's why they're going to have people like Matthew Zedegas in there, who's a scientist, who specializes in this kind of stuff and has a ton of experience working with multiple sensors, arrays of data that back up what they're seeing is real and what it's made from. So they got the right people on the team now. Will Zedegas have the opportunity? I hope so. Really quick, we did get a survey up and going for the audience. They wanted to have one. It's been going for 2 minutes, which is 2 minutes, 1 minute too long. Not really. We usually do it for about a minute and a half. I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. We had 68 votes come in on this one. Avi's approach to this is either A, set in stone. We've seen his work. Evidence will shine through for option B. Option C, he's there for the cover-up. Or something D, some other, something else. Coming in, Daryl, you asked for the survey. 51% of our audience right now is saying he's there for the cover-up.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to be your the guide, the representative of the audience. I do think that I do think this is an interesting poll. I think. What I would suggest, what I think is going on is something else. That's how I voted. What I think the something else is, I don't think he's genuinely interested in the UFO topic. I think he's just grabbing airtime, as much airtime as he possibly can, so he can get more into the minds of the people and so to support his own initiatives down the road. That's my opinion.
Because the only way it's going to work out for him if he comes out being viewed as a success by the majority of the people out there, and more than 50% of the people right now in the United States, yes, they're not just from one political part of the other. No, they believe that they're here.
Yeah, and the other thing is that he's trying to get the Congress to give him over $1 billion to fund his development of sensors, and you just heard him say that right now.
That was for going and investigating what they were going to do for looking for interstellar stuff, I think. That wasn't for on the planet here, because there's other people, other platforms that are out there at this point that totally eclipse what Avi's been doing with the millions he's been wasting with his Galileo project sensors.
Oh, no, you're right about that. And we know a lot of those people that are doing credible work in the scientific community that go far beyond what Avi has been able to accomplish with Galileo, but he is still, that's his agenda.
Yep.
To have the Galileo sensor systems funded by Congress so that he could use $1 billion of our money to do whatever the hell he
but
wants.
I think what they're doing
That's
right
his
now,
agenda.
there's no budget for what he's doing. They want they want the scientists, they want their expertise, and they're going to get the data and be able to sort through it. So we've already spent billions of dollars on this every year. So it's about time we start getting something back for our money.
I agree.
I'm going to throw something else out here. I'm really curious why Brian said to him, your friend David Grush.
I thought he said your friend Anna Paulina.
No, David Grush.
He said both Anna Paulina and David Grush.
Oh,
Was that a little burn? Maybe.
What?
Was that a little burn? Maybe. Because he probably knows that
Oh,
he's
you
not
mean
friends
maybe he
with
was being
David Grush.
sarcastic?
Yeah, being sarcastic.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, he wasn't being sarcastic about Luna because
No, but
they're
sometimes
fucking
when you're
sitting-
doing dry
they're sitting in
humor,
in
when
a
you do
in a
dry
ride
humor,
together.
sometimes you throw stuff in. You know, I do it all the time.
What's that?
You know, I do that all the time.
Do what?
Dry humor. I mix stuff in unexpectedly.
What, did I miss something? Oh, what did I miss?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Look, no, I think it's, yeah, I mean, he said Luna and Grush. So if he's being sarcastic, he's being sarcastic about both. But I don't think he's being sarcastic about Luna because they are together. Or maybe that was Brian's point, is you two look cute sitting next to each other in the chair at the telescope, and Grush doesn't give you any information. I have no idea. But I just thought it was interesting that he said that.
Yeah, exactly. Caleb, your hand is up. Go ahead.
I just really think that this whole thing with the dark enterprise David Grush was talking about is a very serious thing, and that even the U.S. government has been dealing with it for years within the U.S. government. So I think that the Congress and their ability to push out what they can push out is being misled by somebody. And you know, like, I just think it's very dark and devious, you know, just like the drug game. So
yes, exactly. Great point. We'll talk about more of that later. Let's get back to Avi Loeb and Dr. Keating. Here we go.
Argue
Professor
about
Keating.
it. Have forums online and Twitter and on X and all the social media about it. What we should do is develop better sensors, get better data, and then assess the situation. And I'm happy to help the government go in that direction rather than regress back in time, because we cannot go back in time and check all these places where the reports indicated something unusual.
For being such a smart guy, has he never heard of ad blockers or the Brave browser?
Yeah,
Professor-
I mean, is he referring to Beatrice Villarreal right there?
No, maybe. You may back it up for a second. No, I'm just like, something shiny there is like,
In
come on,
time
turn
and
off the
check
ads.
all these places where the reports indicated something unusual.
Well, I'm showing this from the Hollywood Reporter that David Grush is consulting on a new movie that's going to be about. Have you been asked to be on these films as well as David, or what do you make of it? I mean, do you think it's? I mean, it's a Jerry Bruckheimer
I should
movie.
tell you that
Yeah.
a couple of months ago, I was on a movie set in New York City. It's called the Saul Hershkovitz and the Guide to Extraterrestrial Life. And they asked me to appear there for one day on a camera roll playing myself because the main character has an encounter with aliens and wants to speak with Professor Avi Loeb. And they bring me to the set and he asks me questions. So that I played myself basically, but that was my only overlap. And in that case, I basically said what I say to you. I spoke like myself. And so, but I assume that David Grush is in the spirit of Steven Spielberg, talking about, you know, alien bodies and other things that we have not seen yet.
Yeah, we have not seen, and that, Do you find that contaminates the waters? I mean, I heard another interview. Again, I have great respect for these military guys. I was just on Sean Ryan's show. You helped me out preparing for that. Thank you very much. Should be out soon. But I told him, I get uneasy criticizing the military because I have so much respect for my stepfather was a fighter pilot and a refueler tanker in the Vietnam War and combat 50 combat missions. I have great respect for the military. I wasn't fit enough to get into them. I would love to be, and I support them. And I've had many of the military pilots that have witnessed, encounters, shall we say, like Ryan Graves and others who haven't witnessed them themselves, I should say, that they've reported from their own squadron mates what they've heard. David Fravor is now reportedly yesterday was talking about Roswell and that the government should just come clean with Roswell. What do you make of the military? I mean, you and I didn't. I mean, you served, but I didn't serve. So what do you make of? Are we as civilians allowed to criticize people of 100 times bigger cojones than we ever have? I mean, again, I'm speaking for myself. You serve, I know. But tell me, Avi.
My impression is these reports are very sincere. I mean, I very much trust the integrity and the honesty of these military people, and obviously they serve the nation and they're very honorable. The fundamental question, as far as I'm concerned, is whether the objects they saw, and these must be real objects, right? Whether they had a good assessment of the distance to these objects, the motion of these objects, and in those cases also whether these objects are produced by adversarial nations that they are not aware of. And, that's a matter of national security. So
Damn it. He hit us, Daryl.
think we should clean
national security
the uncertainty by simply getting better data, by checking what is flying around strategic assets of the US. And once we have better data, most likely it will indicate that we are dealing with some human-made technologies. And that by itself would be extremely important, just like the discovery of the Chinese spy balloon. And if it turns out there is something else, that's just the icing on the cake, as far as the Pentagon or the intelligence agencies are concerned. So I feel that it's worth doing, that this should be a matter that is within the mainstream of science and within the mainstream of the intelligence agencies. And it should not be ridiculed the way it was in past decades, because now we have much better sensors.
But I point out they also ridicule themselves. I told this to Sean and I told this to Lex Friedman when I was on his show. The pilots who were the people that were most likely to haze, to tease, to make fun of, to mock were Fravor's squadron mates and Dietrich's squadron mates. In other words, when they get back to the ship, they got mercilessly teased. I asked Sean Ryan, did you ever tease your friend who was worried about IEDs?
Okay, I have to go against this because when the shit happened, I heard about the Tic Tac incident. Weeks after the event happened, one of the guys who was in the E2 Hawkeyes, that was one of the first planes that actually interacted with this craft. When they came back, everyone was interested in. People weren't making fun about it. Everyone wanted to know what the hell. Freaking craft came up on the side of the E2 Hawkeye, freaked with the electronics, showed up on the other side, and then freaking zoomed off. That's, there was a high level of interest. It wasn't about, you saw UFO, right? No, they know it. They're in the Navy. They see this kind of shit. They're used to it, especially for what the Nimitz had been seeing before that. Abe, your hand is up.
I was in the Navy on another carrier, aviation boasts made on the flight deck, and I read the fucking reports of the 2004 incident, and no one was teasing anybody. As a matter of fact, I got in trouble. That's how much it wasn't a joke.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thank you.
And that them being planted or drones 20 years ago, drones were very new. They looked like alien technology. He said, no, we would never do that because I know people whose legs have been blown off by actual.
By the way, I should say that in the latest release on Friday, which was the most intriguing, there were several pieces of information that were quite noteworthy. One is a letter written by the brilliant Dr. John Kozlowski. He is the director of the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And this letter was written on the 5th of June, so just a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And this letter talks about an event lasting 2 days in October 2023, very recently, where a combination of orbs and kites and objects that were not fully identified were noticed. And the orbs, for example, they had the ability to generate smaller orbs, which is really strange. A mother orb creates
All right. So, does anyone out there remember in Colorado in 2019, turn back the clock about 7 years at this one, there was an event going on in Colorado. I believe it was Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, all across the western United States. And they had all of those drones that were flying off, huge drones that were going in search patterns and stuff. And they had larger drones, if you want to call it, that were like carriers that would dispatch a whole bunch of other small drones. And these things were looking, that was like going on for like, a month or two, wasn't it, Daryl?
In North Dakota? Oh, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
That general area before the Rockies.
When you were talking about Colorado, I thought you were talking about the Red Rocks UFO,
No.
where a bunch of people at a concert saw
No,
UFO.
there was one there was a bunch of drones that were flying all over the place, and they couldn't figure out. State police were involved, local police were involved, farmers and everyone ranchers were involved with this kind of stuff. And yeah, it was going on for a while. They didn't know what it was, but it's almost like someone lost something. And we're putting out technology at night where people can't see who's flying around, but we're trying to find it.
It sounds like New Jersey.
Yeah.
baby orb, smaller orb.
Yeah, I saw that, but people said it was a flare, Avi. This is the problem. We have people that, they say, and there was...
So I wouldn't discount it as flares because they actually look specifically at flares and other possible explanations. They claim that 40% of the phenomena that were discussed by very reliable law enforcement officials, 40% are not easily explained in terms of what the U.S. currently possesses and adversarial nations, as far as we know, have. So I would not
40%? I thought it was like 5%, maybe 10% at most. Who would have known?
He's the Harvard professor.
Yeah, well, these are new stats. Maybe he's got the insight.
Yeah, if that, 40%. He's pulling numbers out of his ass.
Mother Schmucker.
Yeah.
Mother Schmucker.
Oh, yeah.
Abe, your hands up. Abe going once.
No, I'm good.
Edwin, go ahead.
Well, I'm willing to give it a benefit of doubt and see how it develops. It's going to be interesting to see how, now that we know that Dr. Gary Nolan is on the same panel along with Science Bob.
But okay.
And Michael
anything
Shermer.
to what we're seeing right now. Don't talk about later.
Well, I think we're going to hear from him quite often, but we have people that are doing good work that are a part of his team, but it all starts with the top.
Well, of course, that's why we're just talking about the top now. Yeah, there are a bunch of other people that were added to the team, absolutely, but we're not quite talking about that just yet. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
What was the 40% in relation to? I was thinking about something.
Yeah, thank you. 40%. Let me.
In terms of officials, 40% are not easily asked by very reliable law enforcement officials. 40% are not easily explained in terms of what the U.S. currently possesses and adversarial nations, as far as we know, have. So I would not.
So he's talking about 40% of what's being seen out there, including what's coming, taking into consideration what's in our current weapons catalog or what we have in the sky, and our our enemies out there or adversaries. That 40% of the sightings that we're seeing cannot be easily described to go in either of those buckets.
Yeah, that's a big number.
I've never heard that. It's always been like 5 or 10%.
Right.
Or less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's pulling it out of his ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just say, let's get better data. And that's serious.
What do you make about the... Sorry,
one second.
Yeah.
1 second.
I like how he interrupts. It's like, I've seen something shiny. Enough, Avi.
And that's serious.
What do you make about
Oh God, this reminds me when Rob used to get on the show, and Rob was on the show. He'd get on and talking. He'd just go on for a bit, and then I'd see something else and pull this.
Say, let's get better data, and that's serious.
What do you make about
one second. One second. The other thing related closely to what you previously said is that is a report from the CIA in 1992, which says that in the late 1950s and in the 1960s, half of the reports on UFOs were associated with U-2 airplanes. This was a new technology, exactly as you are saying. Now,
but don't forget, in 1952 or 1954 is when they put out the new documentation from the U.S. Air Force that basically said you're going to go ahead and try and classify whatever you're seeing as something else and reduce, the total number of reports you're doing that you're actually calling out as UFOs or flying saucers and call them out as something prosaic because we need to reduce the number of reports. So. Yeah,
that's very schmucky.
In the late 50s, it was already operational, and the U.S. government denied that it has any such equipment, and so it was ridiculing the reports. Whereas we know that they were related to to these U-2 airplanes. So if in the late 1950s these were definitely operational, it must mean that in the early 1950s they must have tested them, and probably the Soviets also had, before Sputnik, they must have tried to lift objects, out of the Earth gravitational potential wells. So what I'm saying is there are lots of people saying, oh, there was UFO activity before the Sputnik era. We see it in photographic plates and so forth. But it wouldn't surprise me if these were glints from...
I've never heard of Sputnik before, but I am intrigued.
From... U-2 airplanes, which are very high and can reflect sunlight, or the early versions of Sputnik before Sputnik.
Right. Yeah, and I am talking with Beatrice Villarreal this week, and I know that you guys have had some back and forth about her claims about
this is the good one. This is the good one. Talking about the transients, not the trannies, folks. The transients.
It has to be outside of the atmosphere, not a U-2 as high as they fly or SR-71, because they're showing glints that go into shadow on the Earth's. We'll get to that in a minute if we have time, Avi. But I want to get onto the headline news. I mean, we buried the lead for 20 minutes, and my audience is dying to ask you questions. And you have to be a member to ask questions. There's so many people that want to ask questions. You do have to be a channel member. It's 70 cents or something to be a channel member. But that's just to keep the volume to a reasonable minimum.
No, it's $1, but you only get 70 cents. YouTube gets 30 cents.
Avi, the big question. When did you get the call? When did Trump call you up and say, Avi, I got a mission for you. You've got the best hair next to mine. Avi, I need you to help out. When are you going to start this UFO council?
It was not.
That's my Trump impersonation.
But it was a messenger that I hosted at my home. It was an in-person meeting, followed by additional conversations that lasted about a week. Before I started to assemble the council just a few days ago. And I was aiming to collect brilliant members, people who I know personally that have a very high level of intellect and also knowledge of the subject. And
that's why I didn't get the call. I don't think I got the call, but maybe I was on a break. No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk about the team members in a bit.
I should say one thing, that I selected one member to be a skeptic, because it's very important in every committee to have
No. He just needs someone to go ahead and be a sounding board for his skeptical ideas. That's all.
Someone who is the devil advocate, that prevents the committee from losing sight of biases and so it's really important, in these days where people's opinions are very polarized and the two sides of the map always hate each other. They don't want to speak with each other and they say nasty things on each other online, on both sides. People have to realize that in order to have an effective committee, you really need at least one person from the other side in order to introduce a sanity check, that we are not just biased in the way we discuss But in addition, I should also say that, the quality of the work that we do really depends.
For what he's doing, he should have brought Susan Gerberich on too, the head of skeptics.org and, the Wikipedia people. That would have been such a great person to go against everything as well.
On the data that we get access to, because, we will make the best lemonade out of the lemons that we get. I mean, if we get very bad lemons, the lemonade will not be so great.
No. You get stuck with a truck of lemons. What do you do with the money you have left over, Daryl? You buy cases of vodka and sugar.
And make lemon drops.
Make lemon drops. You can't give away lemonade for $1 a glass, but you can sell it to a big container like the super cup full to the housewives for $10 a piece. You'll make all the money.
Yeah, I have a feeling that when the aliens come down, we'll all be you and everybody in here will be drinking about it, and we'll be passed out. They'll have left.
Oh God, no! They're just getting started. No, that'll actually prevent us from being abducted and taken away.
Right.
There we go.
So it all depends on the data, and that's the way I look at it. But I assemble a group of people that can give sound scientific advice that has all aspects of the phenomena. It includes, the nerds that will analyze data, with AI, machine learning. It includes also people who deal with psychology, anthropology, philosophy of anomalies, and theology as well. So, because these subjects are interconnected with respect to the impact on humanity if such a finding is of something that is not human comes forward, we really need to know how to deal with it.
Will there be an official announcement from the White House or from the Office of Science Technology Policy? Like, when people online are curious if it's going to be officially sanctioned by some official White House channel?
Well, my sense right now is that the White House stands behind President Trump's directive, and that includes all agencies of the intelligence and the Pentagon, and in terms of declassifying whatever is not risking national security. And so everyone is on board on that. And the question is, what does the government really have? I mean, we hear all these stories, as we discussed before. Are they real? And of course, a lot of people wish to believe that they are real. I mean, Steven Spielberg definitely is confident that the U.S. government has bodies of aliens in its possession from crash sites. I'm not that sure. I mean, he, as an artist, he's allowed to think whatever he wants. But as a scientist, I respond to evidence.
Yeah, so you need to ask them to take you to see the dead bodies is what you need to go ahead and do, and then we'll be fine. That's the key. If you're going to have access to the data, frickin' ask the questions, ask the tough questions. Is what it comes down to.
I wonder what his opinion is of James Lukatsky, who said that they've opened up a UFO in government possession,
and he's put his head inside of it to look around.
Right. I wonder what he thinks. Mother Schmucker over here on the left.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Lemons. Remember, lemon drops, not lemonade.
I'm going to get some of that.
And of course, if I have to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Here you go. This is the one everybody's going to love. I rewound it 5 seconds just so you can all hear it again and listen to what he talks about his non-disclosure agreements.
Respond to evidence. And of course, if I have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, I would do so just because I think it's a very important type of evidence for the future of humanity. And I don't need to broadcast it to the public at large.
Is he going to do that for everyone who's a part of his panel?
If there are reasons not to do it immediately.
Will there be a budget that you are authoring? You don't have to tell me what it is, but will there be a budget? Will there be transparency, oversight, governance, etc.?
No, at this time, we are an advisory council. So my guess, based on service in similar committees, that the budget includes travel expenses when we meet in person. That's basically it. No personal compensation or any financial interest. But I think it's really very...
So he gets travel, maybe a per diem for meals. That seems standard in corporate America. Edwin, your hand is up.
Yeah, just real quick. My personal opinion of what Avi Loeb is doing is it seems that he spends more time on TV talking and running his mouth over and over again for hours and hours and hours. He spends more time doing that than he does actually doing scientific research. He seems to me, I have an opinion that he's some kind of a public figurehead to get on TV and sway the narrative.
Well, he's a person to get out there and talk on TV and raise money for his programs. Is kind of what his real job is. But great point, though, Edwin. Thank you. Caleb, go ahead. Your hand's up.
To sign an NDA is literally to sign an NDA. So you are signing something to not say something that the American people need to hear.
Well,
at the end of the day.
in order to get access to the information, we're going to show you some stuff in these different categories, blah, 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 paragraph, page. You can't talk about any of this stuff, but anything else you can talk about. But we're going to lock you down on this. And by the way, if you do go ahead and talk about any of this, here's the penalties.
Well, exactly. So if you're talking about any of the things that we're talking about, yeah, there's consequences, but that's why you don't sign the NDA.
Well, right. Maybe they haven't talked about it, but hopefully he's not volunteering for himself and everyone else on this panel. But we'll see where that goes. Syrup, your hand is up.
I don't even think he would have to sign an NDA. I think if they just offered him like $20 to keep his mouth shut, he'd take it.
Yeah, he probably has other NDA agreements and stuff in place with the federal government, Syrup. Here we go. Let's continue.
Encouraging that the government comes forward to a scientist like myself and asks for assistance, because in the past it was more of an approach of keeping a distance from the public, from the scientific community. So just the change in attitude, I think, is a great blessing, and I really appreciate the opportunity that they give us to have a conversation with whoever has the data and help them.
Are you worried about backlash? I mean, this is not a field where the light of heart fear to tread. And it said when you go to Washington, if you want a friend, bring an alien with you. But for example, I've also been disappointed. Again, I'd love to talk to Representative Luna because she's so involved and so energetic and enthusiastic. But sometimes she says things. She says things that, quite frankly, I think are harmful to her own cause. For example, she called Kirkpatrick, basically accused him of not being forthright when he was leading ARO because he doesn't agree with the Lou Elizondo kind of Jeremy Corbell and that sort of faction. So he called into doubt basically Grush's testimony, and he was the one that was empowered. Now he gets the most hate of any guest I've ever had on the podcast. I mean, it's unbelievable how much vitriol he gets. And so on one level, we want to trust ARO, but but on the other hand, what if you get attacked by Luna in 6 months because she says you're not towing whatever line she wants you to tow?
Oh, no, I'm not worried about that because I will basically follow whatever the data suggests. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that would, of course, I can suggest interpretations that are not confirmed. And I did that in the context of astrophysics because that's the way you operate. You just use your imagination. As Einstein said, the imagination is more important than knowledge. So given the data that we have, you can come up with possibilities, and then you decide which one is the correct one based on additional data. That's the way I will operate. But it's not as if I will bend my statements to political will because,
But if we don't have additional data, we're not going to give you the answer we should get. Because the additional data is missing to give us the definitive answer.
It's a trap.
Yeah, did you hear what Keating said? He's obviously, it seems like, anti-Lou. And he also pointed out to Avi that she may want you to tell whatever lie she tells. So he's now coming across as anti-disclosure, in my opinion.
What?
And I don't like
Keating?
it. Keating, Professor Brian Keating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a shitty comment. So that tells us where he stands on this subject.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
Well,
so
he did rightly point out, though, like his worst, what did he say, his worst podcast or worst video, we got the most negative comments was when Kirkpatrick was on.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah, but it also sounds like he's pro Kirkpatrick.
All right.
He's
Sorry
a
about
fan
that.
of Kirkpatrick's, which I'm sure, if Avi had a choice, he'd maybe get Kirkpatrick on the council with him.
Yeah.
Sorry about my delay.
They've
The
worked
duck came to
together
the
in the
window
past.
looking for dinner. So let's continue on. Here we go.
Whether we have a neighbor or not is not a matter of discussion. Either we have a neighbor or not. It's, for the same reason that either the Earth moves around the sun or the sun moves around the Earth. Now, so it's really all about the data and the quality of the data or getting new data that will help us figure it out. And so I don't think it's a political process. In fact, members of Congress on both aisles, of the political spectrum, they work together. And that's one of the unifying themes, actually, that everyone engaged with politics seems to be excited about discussing this subject. So I think it will bring actually people together rather than separate them if we where these things are. And not in the context of watching a plot on the movie screen, but in reality, which is, by the way, it could be much more inspiring.
You wrote recently.
There may be ways by which aliens visit us that were never envisioned in Hollywood, because the training data set that encompasses all the real estate beyond Earth is far greater than what you find here on Earth. And our imagination is dictated by our experiences so far. So we're very limited, and we might be very surprised once we have the first encounter. Just to give you an example, we might think of biological creatures, but it could also be biology that is synthetic, that is something that waits for in our future. Right now, we are producing computer chips out of silicon. That's the source of artificial intelligence. But imagine us getting to a point where we can use biology to create artificial intelligence. That obviously will be far better, because the human brain is consuming only 20 watts.
Oh, is he talking about what I think he's talking about? This is where they're using the brain organoids that are stem cells created from human. They take human skin cells and they put them in this ammonia and other chemical bath. And then those stem cells go ahead and actually develop into micro brains, actually start growing eyes and stuff. And it's actually, by the time they quote unquote terminate them, that they've got, the consciousness and intelligence of a premature baby. And this is like a couple of years ago. Imagine where they've got it now. And he's saying, wow, that's exciting, created artificial intelligence from biological stuff. But if you ask me, we're talking about frickin' Frankenstein work here, Mike, that should never be going down this path.
Oh, it's fucking disgusting. And I can't believe that he's like trying to make points like this. He really is a schmuck.
Yeah, I would say 99% of the people aren't going to pick up on that, but we've been following that news since it first came out years ago, and it's a shocking development. They said, the only reason we're going to develop this stuff is to understand brain diseases and other things that go on, from a medical standpoint. But no, it's all about building technology. They have some of those hooked up, wired in to play Pong. They have other ones that they've hooked up to like drive things around. They're actually going ahead and mating it with a microchip now too.
Lovely.
Yeah.
It's Frankenstein science, like you said.
Completely.
Yeah, that seems to be what
So my point is that it could be very surprising for us to encounter something that is synthetic biology from an exoplanet, or a robot that is purely technological. I'm saying until we have that experience, we will not know who our dating partner is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that seems to be consonant with what Grush said, apparently, that there's a continuum from corporeal, bipedal type life, which is a very shocking statement to me. I'm not actually more kind of perplexed or astonished by the fact that he mentioned, assuming it's true, a corporeal bipedal life form. Now, as well as anybody that bipedal life existed and evolved on Earth over very, very specific conditions. It's almost inconceivable that you could have bipedal life that's extraterrestrial, right? But that's more shocking than sentient plasmoid life and synthetic life, right? I mean, isn't it?
Yeah, so yesterday I wrote an essay on the question that I was asked by a fledgling biophysicist, and he asked me, if we find extraterrestrial life, visiting us or in another place, and how would we be able to tell whether we have common ancestry, whether we both have the same origin? And I answered it very simply. The life on Earth, the double helix, is twisted right-handed. Both the RNA and the DNA have a twist in the right-handed direction. Could have been left-handed, but the symmetry was broken. We don't know why. That's a mystery. Now, if we meet life that came from a completely separate source, it has 50%, even if it has the same building blocks of the DNA, RNA that we have, the amino acids, it could have 50% the opposite chirality. And therefore, if we find that multiple life forms, extraterrestrial life forms, have the same chirality as life on Earth, and the same building blocks, it might argue for a common ancestry. It's sort of like meeting siblings of our family. And the question is then, who is the parent? If were we introduced here on Earth by some interstellar gardener? So finding extraterrestrial life or technology, in a way, also brings us closer to understanding our origins.
Now, there's one thing that I think is most likely, knowing, for example, my military relatives who are in special operations. I mean, these are the most elite people on Earth, as far as I know, and that they've been waterboarded, they've been tortured, they've been by our country, by the Pentagon, by the, all these 3-letter, 5-letter agencies that you can imagine, that they've been fed and they've been tested to the limits psychologically, physically, to every level that you could imagine. And they're the ones that are very skeptical of a lot of these claims. For example, Avi, if you're dealing with you have to know that there is a shadow government that has that Eisenhower called, in addition to the military-industrial complex, his very last speech that he gave in public life, he said that he's most worried about a scientific technological elite that would gang together and then exert their control by their excess wisdom. And he worried there was a shadow scientific academic front that was operating within hedge funds and operating within spy agencies and then Pentagon. So how will you be able to differentiate between evidence that's manufactured, so-called psyops, by the government that you're alleged that you are earnestly working for, shall I say? But how do you know that they're not going to work against you? They must be as smart as you, right?
Well, that's an excellent question, and I have my ways. First of all, I'm using my intelligence, and they cannot easily fool me. Okay, I'm not just a robot that will, given the evidence, I will follow, but I will just look for patterns in the evidence and whether they are trying to manipulate me. I mean, I can tell if someone tries to manipulate me. The second, of course, is that I selected some members of my committee that...
No, because I'm a very good manipulator. I manipulate everybody else, and if they try to manipulate me, I will know. I used to be part of Mossad. I was an intelligence agent. No one can manipulate me. That's the kind of answer we're looking for, right, Mike?
What's he trying to say? You can't bullshit a bullshitter? There we go. Nice. Right to the point.
Oh, you mean like, where's it at?
A bullshit artist.
Listen, Darren was over there falling asleep on the chair.
I'm not falling
Whenever
asleep.
he talks, I always have to turn to, why is he always so quiet?
I know you wasn't, but I'm just saying.
I was falling asleep, but I'm not.
Daryl.
Well, if disclosure,
we need to get you to try substitute Diet Coke for Diet Red Bull, and you'll be fine.
if disclosure happens, I predict that Avi Loeb is going to shit his pants because the people inside the program are so far ahead of him about this typical theory about biological robots with all the evidence that the small grays are really behave like robots. So this is a perfect example how mainstream science is so far behind the curve when it comes to people within the program. And that's why we need disclosure so that these mainstream scientists can learn about these things. They just don't know what people inside the program know. They're so far ahead of these guys.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Edwin. If there's not a fucking white paper, then a scientist today can't believe it because they haven't read a white paper from
But, you know, in response to that statement, I got to bring this out and say, breaking UFOs alert. For those who haven't been paying attention, disclosure has started on May 8th, 2026 with the release of the first tranche of records from the Trump administration. While it's been rumored for many months, starting back in February with Obama and his initial little statement, yes, it has started, Edwin. Disclosure is here. It is a process, and we are officially moving through it. On that note, Caleb, your hand is up.
So, so what I was going to say is that
National Security.
Obama has nothing to do with disclosure. I think that was a whole plan devised by Hillary Clinton and Mike Podesta.
Oh, hell no. With what just happened now, they had nothing to deal with it. If anything, we've got a play going between the two of them to bring out the truth. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, maybe so. But at the end of the day, what we have now is more concrete and more congruent to the American people on finding out transparency.
Right.
I mean, even David Grush had the audacity to come out and talk on Fox News, which he has never done.
He has. Yes.
He has never done up until this past point. So
I've got to get the chicken out of the oven because the timer's going off and I don't want the dog's food to be overcooked. Let me go get this back and we'll continue this conversation in a minute. Here we go.
You cooking your dog?
Have inside information. And so,
or maybe that's psychology, right? You have a psychologist on the team too, right?
I also have a psychologist, but I'm saying even I have people who would be able to alert me to a manipulative scheme, and some people are worried it will be a repetition of Blue Book, and I don't. Frankly, my approach is that I don't care what happened before. I'm looking at the future, and it could be better than the past. And and the way I see it here is that we have better sensors, better scientific tools that we can apply to this problem and resolve it. The goal is to resolve it, not to listen to the people who jump up and down on social media. There are lots of people who have opinions. There are lots of filmmakers that have ideas, but my duty as a scientist is to promote a better understanding of the reality. Mm-hmm. And it may well be that the government has nothing, or it may well be that the government has really something that Spielberg doesn't know about. I want to get to it. And at the very least, I'm saying, even if you're down to earth and you say there is nothing beyond human-made objects, I say, well, I'm not wasting my time because I help national security in that context.
That's right.
National security.
Another question that has come up, maybe it's just me who's interested in it. There was a survey done by Vickers et al. In Nature Astronomy in 2024. I just learned of it recently talking to some people that believe in things like intelligent design, which, I will consult with them and I'll talk to them. But I say the same thing to them as I say to you and anybody else in the CMB cosmology continuum as well. I want to see evidence, not belief. But this is what bothered me. They did a survey and they found that.
Hey, Mike, you hear that? He wants to see evidence, not belief. Or Daryl.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, that's what we ask for all the time. We don't want you to believe in stuff.
By the way, your comment a second ago that disclosure happened on May 9th. On May 12th, the continuation disclosure was Neil deGrasse Tyson's book, Take Me to Your Leader.
I had to be a smartass on that one because everyone's talking about disclosure needs to start. It's like, no, it's finally started. We're just dealing with getting us from point A to point Z at this point.
All these people knew something.
Yeah.
Something was up.
Exactly. Something is up, and we'll see. But we want proof too. So what Professor Brian Keating is coming up with is not exactly original. Not his idea.
But hey, at least he's got Avi there and he's able to get him through all these kvetching conversations. Verklempt.
Yeah. Real putts, but yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Caleb, you have a comment that's relevant to the current thing we're watching right now?
Yes, I do. I'm just saying is that, Alex Jones, talked about this for years, and the Hillary Clinton and Podesta and all that stuff were talking about it, but they were only trying to give us a manipulation, like an illusion of it, and I think David Grush is really talking about what it really is. And then Avi Loeb is, who knows? He could be looking for the truth. He was making some very great comments about Three Eye Atlas, but other than that, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Are you talking about Alex Jones, who is he may have like a talk show or something, but he used to do voiceovers for cartoons. He was like Optimus Prime and a whole bunch of great characters back in the day.
He's done that, but he's originally been an investigative journalist. He always has been. That's how he made his talk show.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And his downfall was saying that the school shooting and whatever it was in upper Northeast was a fake.
Right.
Shooting.
But that still
cost him $1 billion.
That still does not take apart like his exposing of Hollywood and exposing of the deep state situations. Like that's literally what he was always talking about.
I think there may be better people, though, to take your cues from than Alex Jones.
Oh, but come on, we got Alex Jones here with Stephen Greer.
I'm not saying Alex Jones, just Alex Jones. But okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I just think they're saying Alex Jones isn't the perfect UFO guy.
No, I was just bringing him up because I had heard him do a whole bunch of. I didn't know he was a voiceover artist. He worked in Hollywood. He was doing what he had to do, and he was a guy who
he has a point when it comes to the Rothschilds and all these bloodlines that was released when the Epstein was released. Like the Epstein files were released, there were these bloodlines released.
Okay, let's pull it back.
He has a point of deep state
I have
intelligence.
a point too. Let's get back to this interview and take it back on topic. We can talk about this after the show. Here we go.
Over 80% of astrobiologists believe, they use the word belief, in the abstract, that alien life exists outside of the Earth. And I said, that didn't bother me, the number. What bothered me is that they answered the question at all. Because, Avi, if I say to you, do you believe in astrology? You don't say, no, I don't believe in it. You say, I have evidence that it is false, that it is as good as chance at predicting whether Mercury is in the 7th house if you're going to get a parking ticket that day. What do you make of 87% of astrobiologists said that they believe on it? They didn't say, oh, I'm waiting for it to be, there's no evidence yet, which is what I think you should say. And how does that pertain to what you're doing now?
I should also mention that many of them said that they went into astrophysics because they were inspired by science fiction stories. What I would say on that is make an analogy with a congressman that 5 years ago, before he retired, he advocated for legislation against gay rights. Okay. And then when he retired from Congress, he admitted that he's gay. Yes. And so then you wonder, how is that possible? Well, he said that he wanted to satisfy his constituency and try to be popular, but it went against his personal beliefs. Right? He could not have believed what he is trying to advocate for, right?
Did he just wink it, Avi? Watch.
Beliefs, right? He could not have believed what he is trying to advocate for, right? And so you find people in situations, and that happens a lot in society. They are following the herd. They don't want to be in constant friction with their environment, so they follow the environment. They follow the herd. They advocate for the same things. And just because right now the popular view within the astronomy community is to talk about microbes and investing more than $10 billion in the Habitable World Observatory, they would say, yeah, let's zero out any federal funding towards searching for technological signatures because we are very focused on searching for microbes. Now,
okay, let's see if there's anything else going on here. Let's became
I think
a
Keating's
member.
on Adderall. He's got the Adderall twitches.
Does he? No.
It is.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, he does.
I've been on Adderall for a long time. I've never had the twitches like that before.
Dude, I don't want to HIPAA, but anyway, I see this almost every day.
Okay.
The mainstream is at risk by basically trying to reach a consensus. When you try to argue that we need, as a community of scientists, reach a consensus as how to invest all of our funds, and we must go in the same direction of looking for microbes.
Oh God, it's all fucking microbes. Let's just go into another section.
It's for volunteer. They didn't get recruited with a bag over their head and get waterboarded, for where is it to anybody? I don't want Grush to be in for sentient plasmoids, telling us that there are sentient plasmoids and bipedal, organisms, which is very shocking to me. I mean, that's sort of the most shocking thing I've ever heard in this. Not the sentient plasmoids and the interdimensional beings. That doesn't really kind of rankle me as much as the bipedal, because bipedalism is almost the least likely. I mean, look around your house. You might see one or two bipedal objects. You might.
So Daryl in the back, Mike especially, we were talking about this earlier today.
Yeah.
What if it comes out that these bipedal, non-human intelligence,
the Greys, what about
the
them?
Greys or whichever other ones that may be out there, the ones that made the white folk and the Nazis, the tall,
yeah, I don't think so. But anyway,
I know,
so
but
what
whichever it might be, right, to a degree, but they're our progenitor. We weren't created by God. We've been looking for what, Mike? The missing link forever, and we can never find it. We can find all these other species, all these kinds of hominids and all these different things all over the world in caves under the ocean, all over the place, because we're getting into these different places, caves down deep under France and stuff, and we find these skeletons. Even, was it in Morocco or somewhere? Was it Morocco? Madagascar. They actually found modern-day human skeletons in Madagascar that date back 200,000 years. So what happens if it comes out that these Greys or whichever ones it may be, the Trantiloids or the insectoids or whatever it might be, they had their hands in our DNA, and the story we have in the Old Testament about different stuff in the Garden of Eden, that was actually their science lab.
Could be.
Yeah.
And if the evidence comes out, we may find that out. I mean, when Lou did his Samba speech, he was making points like that.
Right.
What if everything you thought you knew about where you come from and who you are, you found that wasn't the case?
It wasn't the case.
Right. So
and that's what
the more
we could be
evidence that
sitting
comes
on
out,
the cusp of right now, because there's been a lot of people affiliated with the Christian faith and all the different variations of it, right?
yeah. They're on the defensive right now, just so you know.
Well, fill us in on that one. Sweaty Nerd, do me a favor. Mute yourself unless you're talking. Keep on popping up. Thank you.
No,
we like you, but if you're going to talk to somebody,
that
yourself,
priest
we'll be fine.
that got fired, we know that organized religion, a lot of the people that are devout in their beliefs are really pushing back hard against the disclosure movement and what may come from that.
Right.
They're taking it personally, which
We've
is
seen
why
a
we
lot
keep
from the
hearing shit
Catholics.
about,
We've heard
well,
something
the
from the
aliens,
Christians
they're
to a
really
degree.
demons. No, they're not.
But if you look at
God
it, though,
or the
Mike,
devil
it's not
doesn't
just
need a fucking
it's not
starship.
just one those who are involved with Christianity. Anyone who has those tales from the Old Testament, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is, I think, it's part of the Quran, isn't it?
Going way back.
Yeah, and it's also part of the Old Testament from Christianity, and it's also part of the books
Torah.
from Judaism, which is a big chunk. I think those involved with Buddhism and Hinduism, they're not going to have a problem with this because their ancient tales already talks about this kind of stuff going on, right?
I lived in Thailand. The monks spoke about it, and they spoke live on television about actual UFOs that are happening right now.
Yeah. So part of the world is going to be okay, but part of the world is going to be, let's get back to the days of
ignorance and
the
primitive
Inquisitions, where if
yeah.
you went and, like Galileo, questioned that the Earth was at the center of the universe and everything rotated around the Earth because that's what God created, and God created man in his image, but if he didn't create in his image and we're not at the center of the universe, there's going to be a lot of people pushing back who, because of their beliefs, they're going to be unwilling to accept the facts.
They will be, and we're starting to see that show now, even before everything comes out. So that just tells us that as we get deeper into this, there's going to be more resistance. And it could get, like the government has been studying since the 1950s, there's going to be a lot of chaos that's going to affect the general population as a result of this.
It may not be this situation.
Oh, wait. Here comes another one. Quick, give me your lighter.
In other words, though, it may not be the Big Bang we expected.
That's true. But there are going to be people like ourselves that will have no problem seeing it for what it is.
Exactly.
Right.
Caleb has found that button again. Caleb, what say you?
Hey, so I really feel like, there's a lot of people that are gonna be against the disclosure and the reality of the situation. Of course, they like that is like obviously gonna happen. But at the end of the day, we all deserve to know, what's really going on. So I just really think that no matter if you believe in Christ or if you believe in this or that, like, you deserve to know. It is a very observational thing to know what is going on. So,
and if certain religions were created to go ahead and keep man from killing itself, it is what it is. I guess it's better that we live the reality versus the fantasy.
In the sect of think like the Vatican, for instance, they are all opposed for us to know about the real life of Christ. They always have been, but when it comes to knowing the life of Christ and knowing Christ, yes, there is all of these things. There's the Nephilim. There's all these things.
Nephilim is not knowing Christ. Nephilim is Old Testament, my friend. Nothing to do with the New Testament.
But the life of Christ, like Jesus.
Yeah,
if
we find out that Jesus was artificial insemination through an abduction, what would that do to Christianity?
Well, yeah, of course. That's what the deep state and everybody else wants us to think.
No. They don't want us to think it. No, I'm saying, Caleb, what if that is the actual truth? You got 3 wise men following an orb to bring him to a manger of where Mary Magdalene's going to have a baby that was artificially inseminated. Now we've got Jesus.
The actual truth was for Jesus to be some artificial insemination or some bullshit ass lie, then we would not be here. So
why not? No one would know. That was beyond technology that anyone could understand 2,000 years ago.
Exactly. So I just really think that it's not even a big issue if the government is going to say, well, like Steven Spielberg's movie came out and like is apparently actively against Christ being real or anything. So I don't know. It's like there's always going to be these things that are going against what the real notion is, so
like that
there's always going to be light everywhere because God created life, And
then he said that anyone that goes to see the Spielberg movie is going to go to hell. Yeah. So we have people with mindsets like that we'll be up against.
I didn't see the Spielberg movie as being anti-Christ. at all. I watched it.
Who created God? I don't know. Let's just throw this out
Wait,
there.
wait. You have a video about that.
Imagine if the universe, Mike, was created as an experiment in a laboratory somewhere, right? We don't know. And it's only for him. It's in a small box, but he created it. It's there. He's watching it. Completely different time frames and everything else from what we observe, what we understand, to what is actually from the outside of the box. If that did happen in that particular case, and that thing or entity did create the universe as part of whatever they were doing, would that make that individual God?
No, I don't.
God created all of it, though. Aliens and us.
There could be multiple experiments with multiple universes going on, with different protocols happening in all of them. But if that was happening in a science lab, would that individual still be considered God by the way we look at things? And that answer would be yes, irrespective of what we think. It's not an old guy with a beard, an old white dude like we play in the cartoon all the time, from the Big Bang.
Oh, wait. Here comes another one. Quick, give me your lighter.
Yeah, there we go.
That's not God.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, what an evening.
Yeah, good show.
I know. We didn't even get into Leslie Keene. And
I know.
I'm on the right one. I'm in Brave. We're going to have to cover this tomorrow because we didn't get to it today.
Right.
Why is that?
And you have to be up at 5 a.m. So yeah.
I know, but
I think I've had enough.
I think I can go ahead and handle this. All right. So, Grush on Fox and Chris's comments. No. Jordan responds, Leslie, Disclosure Day, blah, blah, blah. Q2, UFO believers, the most significant elements of disclosure. Aliens, Chris, are the CIA and DOE following the president's order for the release? I want to hear that one.
All right, let's do it.
Let's see what Chris has to say about that.
Okay, this is from our Aliens, Sam Jones 2. Chris, this is for you. CIA and DOE have been noticeably absent from the first two tranches of files released. Is it safe to assume that they are refusing to follow the president's order? Are there ways to compel them to participate?
Great question. There's some wrinkles in it.
Okay, Mike. How rich is Mellon?
Oh, God. His family is American royalty.
So
that's
why does he
money.
have the crappiest data connection and camera he could possibly have?
Well, there you go.
Just because you're rich doesn't make you a technologist.
That's true.
It also shows that
he was also attacked by a bear, so I really doubt his ability to be super technical.
Well, he should be. And if not, you should have friends. Right, Daryl?
Well, yeah,
the DJI
I'm
trust
thinking
me.
about somebody
I've
I know
seen
that's a
enough things from
billionaire, and
auto auction
he
rebuilds.
needs my help. He needs my help to turn the channel.
I know.
As many of you may know, the classification authorities and process for the Department of Energy are entirely distinct from the Defense Department and the intelligence community.
Oh, tell me more.
They have legislation that mandates their classification system in law. The other agencies are under an executive order.
Wait a minute. I just saw Jordan Flowers drinking. No one said national security. He's not allowed to.
Classification system in law. The other agencies are under an executive order. A little easier, perhaps, for the president to direct them to disregard classification markings than an organization like DOE, which has to meet the letter of the law mandated by Congress regarding classification issues. I'm not an attorney. I don't know if Hunt wants to pile on this, but I suspect that may be one of the reasons it's taking longer with DOE. They certainly have a lot of material to contribute. There have been lots and lots of sightings over decades and decades around DOE facilities, and they need to get on board. And they're within the administration. The president's guidance goes to them as well. I don't think they're in a position to refuse the president anyway. I think more likely it's bureaucratic and legal issues that are.
Okay, I've been waiting for him to say it for this long, and I have to jump in because I have to. The reason we're not getting anything out of DOE, because any request for information for FOIA or bringing out any kind of records regarding Q clearance or anything requires 3 signatures, not just the president saying, give me all of that. You need to have the give me all of that from the president. Then you need John Ratcliffe from the CIA saying, give him all of that. And then you need the head of the Department of Energy saying, let's give him all of that. So you need 3 individual groups, 3 parties to come together to get anything out of the DOE. And that's why we haven't gotten shit out of the DOE. Now, CIA, it's a cover-up. Flat out. They could give us this stuff. It doesn't have the deep levels. And why do they have all these deep levels of security, Daryl? Because it's a modification and amplification of the program they put in place to lock up our nuclear secrets. Manhattan Project. It took a Manhattan Project protocols, aligned it and applied it to UFOs and amplified it.
Yeah, so nobody knows what the hell they're working on.
Edwin.
Is it just me, or does Chris Mellon look like he's aged quite a bit? Is he reaching his golden years?
No.
Where did all the gray hair come from?
He's had gray hair for years. Where have you been?
Well, I've been looking at my own gray hair.
Well, yeah, he's had gray hairs for years. Granted, it's going a little bit thinner. Maybe you should try a full hawk instead of a comb over. But you know what? He could actually afford a really good toupee. So shame on him. He's beyond rich.
He seems a little burnt out or tired in this interview, but I guess you can keep playing it now. Shut up.
Look at his left eye. Look at his right eye. Put a line down the center. Yeah, he's got some health problems going right now, and he's talking a little bit slower than he has in the past. But then again, he's I'm not sure how old he is, but I can't find my phone to ask Google. So here we go. Let's just play some more.
Google, how old is Chris Mellon?
62 years old.
That's wrong, Chris Mellon.
Okay, Google. How old is Christopher Mellon, who is a aficionado in UFOs?
Well,
Christopher K. Mellon. Ask how old is Christopher K. Mellon?
I'd ask ChatGPT. He's 68. He's not that old.
No.
Daryl, he's almost your age.
Shut the fuck up. I'm turned 60.
Okay.
You
But let's
mother
give him
schmucker.
respect. He deserves. He was attacked by a bear. So,
When?
you know, yeah, he was attacked by a grizzly bear and survived it. You know, like,
When was he attacked by a bear?
look it up. It's in his profile. He was attacked by a grizzly bear and survived.
How
This
recently?
must be the bear that Ross Colhart is always talking about being in the
Well,
room.
there's the bear, but we've got Lou being attacked by fucking deer, and now Mellon's attacked by a bear. I say the aliens are involved. Or,
No, it's CIA. You put a deer lick on one side of the road, the deer all have to go across the road to get to the deer lick.
Yeah.
Or salt lick, I mean, not deer lick.
There are kamikaze dolphins, right? So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And making it causing it to take longer there. CIA is a different story. They don't have that issue to point to justify any delays. So I'm surprised we're not seeing more there. The resistance may be stronger there in terms of getting material out.
Stop. He's trying to look out there to talk around it rather than just tell us specifically why. Come on.
Everybody knows the CIA is the most difficult thing to pry open.
It's a cover up.
They're even taking their own shit back from the DNI.
Yeah.
The classification issues may be a little more burdensome. But I think I'll be very surprised if they don't whip everybody into line in the weeks ahead.
Ooh. That's right. Didn't we just get a new head of the ODNI?
Yeah, we did.
Trump's directive has been,
or they call him interim, right?
Yes,
no, there was an interim director, but he actually just nominated someone to take the post a couple days later.
One of the biggest questions ever posed by
Who's
humanity.
playing audio? Is
Are
that
we
me?
alone in the universe? Well, we
What
may be
about
getting
playing on what?
closer to an answer. Lawmakers from the
No,
House
someone in the
Task
back
Force
has music
on the
going.
declassification
Audio
of federal
is playing,
secrets
I think.
demanded more transparency from the government on.
It's coming from the guests in the back. Someone is playing an audio clip. Let me see who it is. Is it me? I've just metered it for everyone in the back. Not me. I'll find out who it is in a second. The Errol's not you. All right, you know what? This is the Leslie Kane interview that I'm playing right now. This is not me. I guess. Hold on. Let me get rid of that. Okay. Well, that was it. Ah, son of a bitch. Oh, yeah. National security. Let's, Candor, your last comment before we finish this off. Go ahead. All right, let's continue then.
The more interesting the documents, the longer it takes to get them. That's basically the bottom line. So we have to be patient. And there is a cat in somebody's space there. Jordan, did you want to add something to that, or should we go on to the next? Or Hunt, or should we go on?
Yeah, I mean, I might even go and be significantly more bullish on that response than Chris's answer. Our position today and into the future, until the United States Supreme Court, until a majority of the United States Supreme Court says otherwise, in my view, is that the President of the United States can declassify anything at any time for any reason, full stop. And
no, we can't. There's laws in place to prevent that. We just talked about it. The DOE. There are specific laws in place to prevent the declassification of top security elements from DOE without the sign off of the head of the DOE and the head of the CIA. That was put in place back in the 50s, I think, as part of the the Atomic Energy Act. Yeah. So it's
Chris mentioned the atomic, Department of Energy, and the question, raises Department of Energy. We see this question a lot. And yes, while it's true that, the Atomic Energy Act of 1954 and the subsequent amendments to that piece of legislation have established criteria for the classification and declassification of certain nuclear fissile material. And we don't have to
know anything that involves nuclear decay, not nuclear fissile material, right? Yes. Right.
Get into it because it's kind of boring, but essentially
No, it's not boring. I mean, you're talking to the audience who's interested in it. I guess if you think it's boring, I don't. This is what we live our lives on, and this is why we can't get the answers out of the fucking DOE. Who is this schmuck? Oh, he's got to be from the Disclosure Foundation. Not sure who he is, but come on. Do your research, please. We love you. We want you to do good, but
legal aspects of that is the overwhelming authority to classify and declassify information for national security reasons lies at the feet of the Article 2 executive. We call that the president. Sometimes, very rarely, Congress says, wait a minute, we're going to pass a law and say that this stuff is classified at its birth, right? So a statute like the one we're talking about now could say Congress deems this information is classified as soon as the information is born. And since we say it's classified in that manner, we will proscribe the way to declassify it. But even in this particular statute, the declassification process still involves members of the executive branch. It essentially leaves it up to a committee that makes a recommendation that is ultimately blessed off by the Secretary of the Energy and the Secretary of Defense. Now,
no, it's the Secretary of the CIA, the Secretary of Energy, and the Secretary of and the President. 3 people. No, God, he doesn't even know. I mean, unless we've been wrong on this all this time, Mike. No. Yeah.
There's nothing in the statute that says the president can't declassify this when he wants to. Okay? But the Secretary of Energy and the Secretary of Defense are cabinet members and serve at the pleasure of the president.
No shit, Sherlock.
Okay? So the suggestion that those 2 individuals may go to the White House and say, you know...
Really quick, gotta say, Christopher Mellon, as old as he is, Mike, he is losing his hair. He's gone gray. He still has more than Lou. On camera right there, you're going to see the back of his head and the top of his head.
So the suggestion...
and it's fully populated.
That those 2 individuals may go to the White House and say, you know, Mr. President, you want this out, but we don't want it because the statute says is silly. It's completely silly. And the
you know what they need, Mike, to go ahead and explain this kind of a thing? We got to do me a favor, reach out to Paradigm Institute tomorrow. Get Danny Sheehan on here. I want him to talk about the constitutionality of the DOE and disclosure, and how and what's required from a constitutional aspect and legally. He'll be able to talk to that in his sleep. It'd be a wonderful conversation. Also, to hear about the great classes he's got going at Ubiquity University and the master's program he's got in ufology. But no, we should reach out to Paradigm. They love us. They send us stuff all the time. Please cover this. Please. We know you love talking to Danny. I do too. Let's get him back here to talk about this because we can listen to Hunt Willis, but I'd love to hear Danny Sheehan talk about constitutionality and constitutional law and what could possibly get done. Not that he's going to go ahead and litigate this stuff, but at least he could talk to it really good. Oh, that'd be a gem. Let's hear the rest of this.
The president can do it anyways. And when he does, what's the remedy and who has one?
Oh, shit.
Nobody does. And, that's even further compounded.
Sorry, audience. Yes, you couldn't hear Mike because there was noise going on. Apparently, I turned it down a second ago, but it's fixed.
The Supreme Court essentially...
So, yes, Mike is going to go ahead and look out and reach out to Danny Sheehan, and we're going to try and get him on to talk about this stuff. Sorry, everyone loves to hear you, Mike, and my fault.
Providing the Article 2 executive with flat-out immunity for official acts that he takes while in office anyways. I mean, that happened in the last few years, and it was subject of a lot of news. So we're pretty bullish on the legal side about the declassification by the president of really anything. I mean, there's almost no other statute that would prohibit that. There's a law that generally prohibits disclosing the identities of clandestine operatives in the field. That's called the Intelligence Identities Protection Act. I'm not aware of that law ever even being used. But again, with respect to the president, it most clearly would not apply. So to answer the person's question, DOE, CIA, CIA director serves at the pleasure of the president. The president can hire and fire that individual at any time. In fact, the shuffling of seats in the intelligence community right now is the subject of a lot of news, as people are seeing. But anyways, we feel pretty strongly the president could do it. The wisdom of that decision and who is in the executive's ear to make it or not make it is a totally different story. And I don't submit to be an expert on the wisdom of that decision or not. But can he do it? Yes, we feel very strongly he can.
Who is we? We can't wait to see where that's going to go. Really quick, if you're having a good time, folks, we still have 371 people watching. If you're still watching, you haven't subscribed yet, please do us a favor, folks. Hit that subscribe button. We put a lot of work into this show every freaking night. I guess we're going to be coming back again tomorrow. We've been looking at, is disclosure cooling down? Are we going to go back to 3 days a week? And when we hit that point, we'll let you all know. But at this point, we still have stuff to cover tomorrow night, and we'll see where it goes. We're playing a day by day, Mike?
Yeah, we are. We have been the whole time. So we'll figure it out, and we'll let everybody know where it's going.
Yes, absolutely. But hey, if you could give us some love, give us a subscribe, we'd appreciate it. More importantly, if you haven't given us a thumbs up yet, please do. How many people have given us a thumbs up so far? I don't know. I can't get to that stream settings. Maybe it's over here. It's not as many as it should be. We've got 369 watching and only 176 likes. Do us a favor, for the time we put into this for the last 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. Please give us a like. Let's see if we can get at least 200 likes before we're done, Mike. We're not asking for too much, are we?
No, not at all. The price is always free, and we'll give you a double your money back guarantee. It's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of stuff happened yesterday and today. And, oh, my God, this whole Avi Lube thing is, you know, I've got to take a little step back and not be so negative, because there might be a diamond in the rough on this. But Spider Sense is saying it's going to be bad. But, you know, sometimes you can't just get out of the gate and take your bias and judge on that. Maybe if he gets the data, maybe we'll get something.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not too optimistic.
I want to hear about NDAs.
I
want to hear about NDAs. Who's being restricted from the NDAs, if they are? More importantly, can they only talk as a committee? Is Avi going to be the only voice? Or are we going to hear voices from Matthew Sudeikis, Gary Nolan, and all these other people who are going to be part of this? Because it's not just about a debunker. Actually, two debunkers, Avi and who's the other guy on the debunker? Germer?
Yeah. Well, we also know Chris Mellon is on this council as well.
No, he's not.
He made the announcement publicly the other day.
Was he on there?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Son of a bitch. Let's see if he's on here. Affinity photo, open recent. Is he on there? No, Christopher Mellon is not on the council at this point. Let me go ahead and bring this up.
He said he was invited by the White House to be in the council.
All right, so but he's not a scientist so far.
No, he's not.
And if I bring up one of the graphics I was working on for today's show, no, Christopher Mellon's mug is not here.
Okay.
We got a bunch of people on here, but Mellon is not part of these scientists yet.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Time will tell.
Yes, as always.
Yeah, on that note. Would you look at that over 2 hours went by so quick. I want to thank everybody for coming out to this episode of Disclosure tonight. What a great opportunity to hang out with friends, hang out, have a couple drinks, talk about disclosure, and argue as much as we can. On that note, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It's been a great show. We got a super chat in tonight from Stephen Mateo. Monday Madness, $10 American. We're a fan-funded program. We put a lot of time into this, and we appreciate the little tips that come along that brighten up our day. All the money that comes into Disclosure tonight goes back into our production. We're thankful for everything that comes out there. I also want to go ahead and thank some of the regulars in the back. Where is that at? Crap, it's over here. Mike, thanks for coming in tonight. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. It was a great show. Good conversation
Yeah,
tonight,
absolutely, Daryl. Thank you for being around.
Thank you. Always fun. Look forward to it every night.
Yes.
It possibly is on, which is only Sunday night that I have to figure out what to do. So thank you.
And to some of our most active members in the back, just want to remind you, please, when we're talking about stuff, keep your comments relevant to what we're currently talking about. It makes our job that much more funner. It's like having a regular conversation versus saying, hey, Daryl, look, something shiny. Squirrel. Along those notes, I want to thank our two squirrels. I want to thank Edwin for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. with such a great introduction. And Caleb, thank you for being here tonight.
You can't say
No,
goodnight.
they're so quiet. Caleb, are you there? And Sweaty Nerd, thank you for coming out.
Oh yeah, no problem, brother. Y'all be good.
I know, but you gotta have fun with it. On that note, we've still got. I just heard my freaking thing upstairs going on. I can hear it 2 seconds later from the television upstairs. I want to thank everybody for coming out to this episode of Disclosure tonight. But you know what? We'll be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. We will be here at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. On that note, I want to thank everybody for coming out to this episode. Rock and roll, my friends. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but...
Go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. See you later, everybody. Y'all come back now. Here.